Hi guys, this is Brittany from Canadian Beats, and I have Jeff from Modern Terror on the phone with me. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am good. So just a couple questions for you today. So to get started, you guys have recently done a new album, Hardcore 18, and it was produced by Garth Richardson. So tell me
Yes.
what that experience was like working with him and the process of doing this album.
It was an amazing experience, process, the whole thing. We lucked out, and Garth and we actually live in the same town here on the Sunshine Coast, and we tossed a few names around of who we wanted to work with, and he was right at the top of that list. And I thought, well, let's give him a call and see what happens. And went and had a quick meet and greet with him, and we just instantly hit it off, and we're kind of like family now after that. So, you know, his resume, the people in the bands he's worked with, his father's legacy, it really kind of, lends to make you want to play better, and he really drags it out of you as far as making your album sound as good as you want it to be, and he's a real taskmaster. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun working with him. It was fast and furious. We did it kind of over 4 days. We tracked everything, and then over the next kind of 4 evenings, we tracked vocals, and yeah, it was a down and dirty, quick and rocking album to put out. So good times.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad that it was such a great experience for you guys to work with such a legend.
Yes, he is a legend, that's for sure. And his studio is a really cool location in our town here, kind of nestled up in the hills and in the mountain. And you could basically go there and live there and do your album. And so that's a really cool feature. You can kind of just close yourself off from the rest of the world and just get to it. So it's a good spot for that.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps too when you want to get something out that you're so passionate about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we put in some long days and then just, got back up and did it again. Put on a fresh pot of coffee and keep going.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So, you guys also just recently released Brayden's a Pot Smoker in lieu of Canada legalizing marijuana. So,
Yes.
what made you want to release this song? Like, what was the process of doing it and the reasoning behind it?
Just basically because in this industry, timing can be everything, and we just kind of figured, that's a pretty funny song about, the juxtaposition of being a parent in the new millennium and going through this process as Canada, legalizes something that we've, been hiding for so many years and, as teenagers and things like that. So it's just kind of an interesting little thing to sort of put out in conjunction with, legalization. And, it's kind of a funny story of a parent basically telling their kid not to smoke pot. Meanwhile, they're chugging back a bottle of wine every night kind of thing.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
And so with all this going on and you guys are playing a show in Vancouver very soon, what's the best advice you've received as a punk band?
Do it yourself.
Oh, okay.
The DIY ethos is so strong in punk rock because it's a genre that's, I don't want to say, the dying scene in that sense, but, nobody's really signing a ton of good punk bands these days and putting it's just not that top 40 mainstream music, right? So you really got to work hard, and that's all we've ever learned, and people that we've worked with or taken advice from, it's just, nobody's going to work as hard for your band as yourself. So the other thing I've learned is in those jobs that you can't maybe get done, hire the right people and create that team around you, which we have been, able to do right now, which is just the best to have somebody that's, going to do the job. The promo, Melanie Kay, Sarah Litt at Pack-In Artist Agency now, they're working for us and they really believe in what we're doing. So now we've got those two key people on our team, and now it kind of gives us a chance to sit back and work on our music as well, because it's tough being an independent punk band or independent band of anything. I find some days I spend more time, working on social media or updating bios or websites or whatever than I do actually playing my guitar sometimes. So you got to be prepared for that. There's a lot of work, and so yeah, do it yourself.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to punk bands that are trying to start?
Just keep playing and keep practicing and hone your craft and look for those opportunities that you can get any kind of exposure. It's a pretty cool time, I think, right now for punk bands in that it's always been an accessible music and accessible genre where one day you can be like, man, I just love that band. And then, years later you might be opening up for them because they are approachable or it is accessible and they do like to sort of bring people up with them at the same time. It's not necessarily a peak, but more of a plateau for all the bands to kind of get in there. So yeah, that would be my thing, is look for those opportunities and seize them when they come, for sure, you know.
No, that's great advice.
Mm-hmm.
So my final question for you, Jeff, is what is the absolute craziest thing that's happened at one of your shows? I know that you guys are pretty big for having some big mosh pits and things like that.
Craziest thing at one of our shows. Well, it was a show we did with the Descendants, the one that comes to mind for me, at the Commodore in Vancouver here. And there was a guy, it was actually during the Descendants set, but we were hanging out watching from the side stage, and there was a guy there in a wheelchair, and he went out in the crowd and basically did a huge crowd surf in a wheelchair. So that was pretty crazy to watch.
Oh my gosh, that's intense.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for taking the time to jump on the phone with me and answer some of my hard-hitting questions. And I wish you guys the best of the luck for the rest of 2018 and into 2019.
Thanks a lot, and hopefully we'll talk again in 2019. We got a lot of stuff we're working on, so hopefully we can do this again. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to check out Modern Terror.